This is a public service announcement from 5 to 5 Incorporated!
That's right, Throwback Rum from 2012. This PSA is to inform you that whatever is said here in the 525 Live podcast is the opinion of the guest, not the host or the show. We here at 525 Live want our guests to feel free in expressing themselves in order to give an entertaining podcast for you and a therapeutic experience for them. If you don't like what they said, take it up with them, not the show. You know who you are. Now, without further ado...
Yo, sit back, relax, catch a contact.
Bear witness to some biblical shit. But I hope you leave enough room for my fist, because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the 525 Live podcast. I am Sean Nova, of course, and my guest today in this episode is, of course, a person in this community that debuted in 2K14, who has an unbelievable streak of 0-21. Holy crap. You are the true underdog here, but of course, ever since, you had your first win, you haven't been defeated since, so that's a good thing. Keep on the up and up. You're going to go up from here. And pretty much under the radar. You really haven't had a match this year yet, because we might get into that soon. But that's pretty much it. Blake, Syrase,
Syrase. It's a very uncommon name. It's very difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people mess that up.
Norman was right, because I spoke with Norman about you before, and he pronounced it right, and I was fucking wrong. So Syrase, okay, got it. It's pretty much how it's spelled. Derp. All right. So how you doing, man? What have you been doing for the past year and a half since you've been kind of like MIA?
I've been very under the radar. I've been, as you mentioned before, I've been kind of going through a phase that some people go through, where you kind of lose yourself when you're in the midst of everything.
In the music?
To the music.
Oh.
Well, it was a good one there. I did get the reference.
Yeah, thank you.
But there's always a time where sometimes you got to take a step back and you got to look at everything that you've done. And one of the things coming into the community for the first time, or at least debuting long ago, 3 years ago, it seems like forever ago. One of the things I always wanted to do as soon as I came in was make a name for myself and give a positive step for not only myself, but open the gateway for other people to show that anybody can really do what we do, if you can even call it anything like complicated for us to do. We're just replicating, wrestling matches on a video game, but it's something interesting that it took me 3 years to get into. I started paying attention, or at least had caught on to this whole sim thing that we do around 2011, when TXW was the big thing on Xbox and FAM was the big thing, and
and PlayStation and all that. Yeah. All right, right on. I dig it. So, like, when it comes down to, like, cause shows and stuff like that, what are you really into besides the ones you already mentioned? Or is there anything that grabs your eye right now? There's a lot of people like Valor and iGlobal, all the other stuff. Anything else that really catches your eye?
Personally, one thing that really caught my eye in the last year or so was two things, really. The events that started popping up, because there's been a lot of interesting dynamic between all the events, between all the stuff that Jack Starnes doing with Dystopia and Arcadia and Declaration and all the other events. And of
Shout
course,
out to the hero.
A guy who's really helped me make a name for myself recently. I might have smashed his head onto an announce table, but we can look past that. He had it coming.
Right.
And then...
we all do. I mean, at some point or another. So
and then,
no
speaking of a company very close to that, BDG. BDG, when I had originally heard of it, I wasn't too big on the stereotypical, like, kind of the state of Japan dojo scenario. It kind of seemed like an overplayed thing, or something that was becoming overplayed in the community. But as I started watching it and indulging in the character portrayal and the people that were there and the unique storylines and everything that were going into it, that was one of the leagues that I actually, and still now believe that if it were up in more constant basis, because I know Darren and he likes to hear my input on things, I really do believe that BDG can go a lot further. That, like, I don't want to put it on a pedestal, but I really do think it could be up in the same like line of conversation as FAM one day if it keeps going the way it's going.
Well, any show really has that potential as long as you're willing to put enough work into it, and it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, a lot of shows, that, you know, sometimes a showrunner can go and feel discouraged because they only have like 100 subs, and not that many people are watching it. And the best advice I can give is just keep at it. You're not going to be as popular or as known as the competition right away. The more work you put into it, the more you care about it, the more dedication you put into it, is just, it'll pay off in a long run, but it'll eventually get there. But yeah, you know, FAM is a big animal. It's a big animal in this whole wild kingdom that that's called, because of the, you know, the amount of subs they have, the amount of views they get per video, yada yada yada, and they kind of had the head start since they started in 2009. So, you know, it's a little discouraging at times, but you have to keep at it.
I completely agree. It's also weird at times to think that it's been 8 years, or roughly around that time, that since FAM starting, and like,
Right.
just to see how far a gaming community like WWE, like a more less popular sport to most people, how far like a gaming simulation has brought our community forward, and with the help of social media and everything else, how far we've actually spread out there. We have people like people who probably never before had thought about like when FAM does their reviews, for example, for pay-per-views. I never thought, like, if
Right.
you were to ask me 5 years ago if people were going to sit down and watch an entire show and like live reactions and like all this crazy nonsense that people do for actual wrestling, I would have called you crazy. But it's just,
Oh yeah,
it's so weird
absolutely.
to think how far how far they've come. I was gonna say we, but I haven't been a part of it personally. I know you have. You had a big part
Right.
in the movement and
Yeah.
getting your name known, and I mean, here we are.
Which is funny because Rom talked to me about it when they first started with the whole review thing, and he brought up the idea like, oh, I'm gonna have a competition, baby, or how, you know, people, you know, they're gonna review it and they're gonna tell me what they think, all of this stuff, and I'm like, that's not gonna work, man. Like, I was one of those doubters, and like, you know, glad to say I'm wrong about it, but like at the time, I just had no idea that people would be. Of course, you know, people will love it, and they're gonna comment and give a like and subscribe and all that stuff. Yeah, but I don't think. I never felt right of asking people to do anything more than that, and for him to have that oversight, that precognition of knowing that it's gonna be fucking great and it's successful, and people to this day are still doing it, even though the Rumble is like almost a month past. It's amazing. So it's pretty crazy. Sorry for all that rambling there, but yeah.
It's just, it's weird to me. Like I said, it's the whole like titan of it. Just I can't believe it personally as a part of the community, not part of FAM personally, but just seeing how people who are fans of wrestling found FAM, and now they're fans of FAM, and now they're finding all these little things like the events and BDG and all the other things that I had mentioned before. It's just weird. It's very weird how it comes full circle in the end.
Oh yeah. But yeah, but you know, besides that, hold on 1 second, right? I mentioned it in the intro. Explain the 0-21 losing streak.
Man.
God
Talk
damn.
about the most enhancement talent human being you've ever met.
Right. How did that come about? Like, did you have any like input on that? Like, did you want to put people over, or was it just a situation where you just happen to have bad luck?
I'll put it in this perspective. I'll tell a little story real quick. So, when I had first gotten into WAW, I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, the guy who ran it, Matt Baker, he threw me in to like a very good scenario. I was very green at sim, if you can even say it in that tense. He kind of
Right.
just, I didn't even know my opponent going into it. He was kind of just, he invited me to a party. These were back on the 360 days, and was like, here's your opponent, we're gonna record
Okay.
the match. And like, funny enough, there was no like, it didn't matter who won. So me and my somebody who ended up becoming a close friend to me, Stitches, we ended up having a really good match. And really, it was just like we came up with a finish, and whoever won. It didn't really matter. And once I lost that first match, people really got behind the idea of like the 5'6" underdog from Wyoming, the like 156-pound like little pit bull scenario.
The little engine that could
basically.
Type
and then
yeah.
once and then people after people just came to me, they were like, do you want to join this league, do you want to do this, do you want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. When I had first came in, like, I had no ambition of like trying to win the title, be the big dog on top, this is my yard. Like, I wasn't like
Shout out to Roman Reigns.
Oh man, what a controversial topic.
Oh god, I don't want to get into that because then I'm just gonna start raging on how people just. I don't get how people can hate him. It's not like he's perfect, not by a fucking long shot, but he does not deserve all the heat that he's getting.
I personally am not his biggest fan. Like, I will say, like, I'm one of the Roman haters in a way, but to my point, I will give him all the credit in the world when he has a good match, when he does a good promo. Like, I'm not going to sit there and complain, oh, he's being overhyped and overbooked and all this other stuff, because I kind of gave up on that when he lost the U.S. title, because to me, he didn't do too much with the belt besides carry it around as like a prop, like a piece of dead weight over his shoulder.
Oh yeah, that was a down point. Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that bullshit. That kind of sucked because the whole thing was when he beat Rusev, right? Everybody's bitching like, "Oh, you shouldn't have the title, dude," all this other shit. And I'm like, "Yo, but understand, he's gonna hold it for a while, and the person that beats him for that belt is gonna get skyrocketed into the upper mid card. Also, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna be a legitimate champion. So just imagine the person he's gonna put over. Then in reality, that set in, and then fucking he just lost the belt in like the shittiest fucking way. Even though it's Jericho didn't need it. So it was just
it's kind of true. Jericho didn't need it, but wasn't the U.S. title up to that point like the only title that Jericho didn't hold in the company at that point?
Right, yeah, I think he became a Grand Slam right there at that point. Yeah, because he won the tag team, he won the IC belt like a record number of times. Of course, World Heavyweight Champion, all that stuff. So, yeah, the only thing he needs to do is go back to 205 Live, and he'd be great. But you know, well, he was his Cruiserweight Champion. I don't think in WWE, but
yes,
WCW.
Definitely, I remember that.
So, yeah, I don't know if that really counts.
Well, I mean, if the United States Championship can be stolen over from the company and rebranded, I'm sure anything can count at this point. I'm sure Dean Malenko still holds some kind of like Money in the Bank contract somewhere that he's going to come to like Famniversary 10 to cash in on Roman Reigns or something.
Oh, and then it's gonna be a shitty match, and then they're gonna blame Roman and shit. Like, come on, man, like everybody's like bitching about the Undertaker match, right? Like, oh man, he beat the Undertaker. I'm like, it's his last fucking match. Fucking Undertaker's a classic dude. He wants to go out on his back and shit like that. Like every other fucking wrestler, as tradition, if it's your last match, you put over the person in the that you're in a match with. So, like, were you really gonna blame Roman Reigns? Oh, it's a shitty match. Undertaker's in his fucking 50s and shit. He had a shitty match the past couple of fucking Manias and shit. The last real good Mania match he had was with CM Punk. So, like, come on, man. Like, are you really gonna blame Roman? Oh, you know, he sucked in the match against Braun Strowman. Oh, yeah, because, you know, fucking Braun Strowman really had no input on how shitty the match was, you know? Like, come on, man.
It takes two to tango. That's the unfortunate part. Roman's always gonna get that hate. And or
when he has a good match, and like, oh, the other person was carrying him. I'm like, motherfucker, really? Like, I get it where, like, if he's in a match with a phenomenal person, let's say, like, fucking, again, pun intended, like, AJ Styles or someone like Randy Orton or whatever the fuck, where it's a good fucking match, okay, sure, the person has been at it more, sure, of course they're gonna carry him. But if he's going against somebody that's around the same time as him and had the same experience and all that shit, you can't really say who carried who. Like, come on, man. And you're like, oh, his matches are fucking predictable and all, so that he has a certain moveset. Like, yeah, so does Cesaro, who's a great fucking wrestler too. He has the European uppercut, and he does the fucking equalizer, and he does the fucking all this other fucking bullshit. It's a lot of same moves that each wrestler does that has their own little repertoire and all that stuff. So, yeah, you just only pointing Roman Reigns because you fucking hate him. Like, because Vince wants him to be champion. Like, yeah, Vince, whoever's champion now is who Vince wants. You think fucking Jinder won the belt and got one over on Vince? Vince is like, God damn it, how'd you win it? God damn it.
See, the Jinder thing, too, is something that kind of, like, bugs me a little bit. I personally didn't watch the Backlash pay-per-view. My network ran out. But
Right.
I heard a lot of controversy and like the whole backstage politic thing about how India's a big market right now and WWE wants to draw them in, so they're gonna just throw the strap on Jinder. And when I heard that, I it blew my mind because like in both ways it sounded like something WWE would never do just for that, but then at the same time it sounds exactly like something WWE would do. And
Yeah.
not to be that guy, like, don't hinder the gender or whatever the meme is at this point. I've lost track. Like, everyone's just a gender guy now. But,
Yeah.
like, I personally...
I don't get it because it's a thing where, like, when Roman won, oh my God, it's too soon. He's too green. He can't talk on the mic. He can't wrestle. Yada yada yada. But then Jinder wins. Oh, Jinder's no longer hindered. His great promo, so original every single week of, oh, you don't like me because you don't look like me. Rada Maharaja and all sorts of shit. It's the same fucking promo. It's getting repetitive to the point of Del Rio, where you know fucking used to say, you know, it's my destiny every fucking 10 seconds.
In those days,
like guns to fucking mouth, right? Yeah. So
the 2011, 2012 bane of just Del Rio saying the same 3 words and still having heat for the entire year.
And then the same fucking time, which Tuesday, just last night, Randy Orton had a shade of where he used to just go, my name is Randy Orton. And I'm like, motherfucker, really? Like, I didn't notice the whole 12 years you've been wrestling. I had no idea what the fuck your name was. Thanks for fucking reminding me, Mr. fucking 14-time champion. Fuck. Like, yeah, I did not know who you were, man. Fucking
That's when you know
asshole.
as a veteran when you run out of things to say. You gotta reintroduce yourself after 14 years in the business. You just gotta like...
Yeah, it's not like you're a fucking person that just started off, like, let's say, like, back when Dolph Ziggler started off, and he had that thing where, like, hi, my name is Dolph Ziggler and shit. I get it, because you're trying to get people to remember your name. Fantastic. Right on. Do what you gotta do. Shine bright and crazy diamond, but, like, fucking Randy Orton, who a fucking veteran in every sense of the word, has to introduce himself. You fucking suck.
I think Orton's mind's just polluted after losing the WWE title for like...
It's not even that. I think it's because it's that he's become complacent. He's become comfortable with his status in the company. He's no longer hungry. He doesn't have to fight for the top spot anymore. Because back in 2009, when he was a Legend Killer, or not even that,
2000
when he was the Viper and had Legacy and all sort of shit, he was a bad motherfucker. I was all on the fucking Randy Orton hype train and shit. Back when he had shaved his head bald, he looked like a fucking serpent and shit, very Nosferatu-ish. He's had the pointy ears and shit. Fucking dug it. But now it's when he joined the Wyatts, he didn't even bother to grow a full beard. And this is the same Randy Orton that had a beard like 2 years ago. I mean, and he could do it. He just decided not to. The motherfucker, what was it? The House of Horrors match,
where
right?
he shaved like...
He goes, right, he shaved midway through it. Like, motherfucker, you're not even trying. Like, I understand, right? If you're gonna join the Wyatts, you don't want to do the Daniel Bryan thing where wearing a fucking jumpsuit or the overalls or whatever the fuck. I understand that. You don't want to copy it fucking frame for frame, right? But... you couldn't at least grow a fucking beard?
He should have came out with like some kind of viper mask and suspenders or something. That would have been great.
Right, but what I'm asking is, I'm not asking him to do something. I'm asking him to not do something, which is shave. Just don't shave. That's it. But he's just like, nah, I'm gonna prove I don't give a fuck. Give me the fucking razor. It's like, come on, man.
I think once Orton's stick with like Kingston ended back in 2009, he was done. He cemented himself. He's like, okay, I can do whatever I want.
No, actually, I think it all ended after that feud with Christian, because in hindsight, right? At the time I wasn't really a fan of it, but in hindsight, looking back, it was a really good feud with the whole one more match and then fucking losing the belt to disqualification, yada yada yada. I think that was the last really good feud that Orton had.
You bring that up, and
I may be wrong,
Christian.
but yeah. Right?
Christian was he was such a dark horse wrestler, like, through his entire career, the guy who was never supposed to make it. Like, Edge just completely blew him out of the water as far as, like, the two guys who split up and one goes on to success and the other one's just there. Christian's such an underutilized talent who never fully saw his potential. He should have been WWE champion. And at least if they were going to give him a 1-month world title reign or, like, a 2-day title reign, they should have given it to him
that was a slap in the
years
face.
sooner. Like, Christian's actually one of my inspirations for wrestling. He's one of the very few guys in WWE who, like, got me really invested into the entire thing and into the crazy world of wrestling that it is, besides, like, The Miz and Swagger, surprisingly enough.
Right.
It was just, I don't know. They could have done so much more, which speaks to a test to a lot of their talents currently that they could do so much more with, but WWE's become complacent in what they're doing with a lot of guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When it comes down to Christian, though, I think he was just cursed with, not necessarily cursed, but he was in an unfortunate situation of being paired up with a very charismatic Edge. Like, Edge can do no wrong when it comes down to storylines. He was a motherfucker of a heel, and he got the crowd behind him very easily as a face. So that was just, if Christian was by himself, he probably would have soared higher. It's just that, you have one good thing next to a fucking fantastic thing. You can't ignore the good thing,
One thing about Christian that I do kind of praise, and many people might not agree with me on this, is when Christian left WWE for a short stint in TNA, because when he had come back, it reinvigorated his career to a point. It didn't go too much farther after winning the WWE CW Championship, whatever that belt was supposed to mean. I'm pretty sure Hornswoggle won it at some point, or I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a silver belt. I'm not a big fan of silver belts. It just looks like it's second place. You can say, "Ooh, it's platinum." No, it's not. Don't fucking say it.
I mean, I might as well just take a Miz participation trophy at that point. It's about as equal value.
Yeah, if it gets me Maurice, I'll take it. But just like Miz, right? So it's like and it's been mentioned before, where a lot of times when tag teams break up and shit like that, usually there's one that becomes Shawn Michaels and the other one becomes Marty Jannetty. So it's kind of messed up where you can kind of classify Christian as a Jannetty, even though he's been more successful and had title reigns and all that stuff. But compared to Edge, I mean, Edge is in the Hall of Fame and he's 40? You know what I'm saying? And then for Christian, he's really not doing much. He technically retired without having a big hoorah of a retirement match. Maybe it was his choice, who knows? But then, you look at Miz and Morrison, or you look at what other teams broke up that had one sword and the other one didn't. There's a lot of them. But
the first thing that actually just came to my mind was the Shield. How do you differ that apart? I feel like one's Michaels, one's Jannetty, and one is a combination of the two, the middle child.
One's Ringo. Yeah. But not necessarily, because they've all been successful too. So in their own right.
To a point, but as far as you look at all right, Rollins and Reigns have had multiple title reigns already. Obviously, Seth's second title reign lasted 4 minutes, and then Reigns has had 3 or 4 runs with the belt already. But then Dean's kind of he had his one run with the belt, and no one really no one was really super crazy about it. Kind of when Bray had just recently won the title, it was oh, he's got the belt. Okay, cool. Yeah. They're just giving it to him because he's a former Shield member, and the other Shield members had it.
It's his turn, God darn it.
And you.
Well, the thing with Ambrose, I feel it's one of those things where once he wins the belt, once he gets to the point of having a belt, he becomes comfortable, like Orton, where he's just okay, I don't feel like I need to do it anymore unless I lose the belt. Then he'll become great again. Because every single time I've seen Ambrose at his best, at his peak, is where he's chasing a title.
I completely agree. With the complacency, one perfect example of that is Ambrose and I think it was Ambrose and Ziggler at SummerSlam last year.
Right.
That was the perfect example of a match that had all the potential on planet Earth to probably have stolen the show, considering Balor and Seth was on the card and everything else that was in place there. And it was lackluster. It's something about the WWE Championship nowadays. I don't know if it's whether it's the wrestlers all becoming complacent as soon as they get the strap, or if it's just a curse right now with the WWE Championship that the Universal titles off TV and the WWE Championship matches are complete garbage. They're not producing anything.
Right. Yeah, maybe it's the writing, who knows, because again, as much as we like to imagine, we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. So someone could be oh yeah, you don't have to do too much, and then blame them for not doing so much. Motherfucker, really? You just said. But there's a bunch of other things that I probably haven't even thought about. But from my point of view, from my opinion, I feel you gotta stay hungry no matter what. As soon as you get to the strap. Same thing with Cause. It's not necessarily just a WWE thing. It's every sense of the word in life where it's even if you're successful, keep acting like you want to be successful. Just like that whole Kobe Bryant shit with Kanye West. He's more records, but more championships. Are you a different animal yet the same beast? It's the same shit where you, no matter what, just act like you're fucking hungry and be humble, because some people's ego just gets the fucking best of them.
See, that's kind of the problem I'm seeing right now with the back with the WWE Championship. It's like, how many holders have we had in the last, like, 6 months? Like, 5 or 6 championship turns already? Between Cena winning it at Rumble, Wyatt winning it, and then Orton, and now we have Jinder's champion, which, again, the perfect example of something that just doesn't make sense at all.
The whole Jinder thing is... Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of a person that's been low on the fucking card forever, and then had overcame the odds and became champion, all
Absolutely.
that jazz, right?
The exact same
But
way.
it seemed like, and it's nothing against Jinder either, because I was a fan of Jinder when he debuted, and he was like feuding with Great Khali. He told him about how like he was with his sister or some, I don't know, something weird. But
the whole family
it's been a long
Khali
time.
thing, and yeah.
Right, exactly. So like I was a fan of his. Then 3MB, I kind of lost it a little bit, but because I was like one of the only few people in this community that really wasn't feeling 3MB. Maybe because I'm older, who knows? But
It was three
the whole
good to decent to really good talents. Like I consider McIntyre the best of that group. It was kind of
absolutely.
just like a
Yes.
joke group to like give them something to do because we ran out of something to do on writing for whatever reason. But they kept it going for so long.
Yeah, every time I saw Drew at that time, it was just like Obi-Wan was in my head. I was like, you were the chosen one, and it really disgusted me because like I was a huge Drew McIntyre fan when he debuted. He was fucking up R-Truth and Matt Hardy and shit like that. But so to see him downgraded to that, and then have Heath Slater, like if you're gonna put 3MB into a group. And have someone like Drew McIntyre, at least make him fucking leader. Like who the fuck is Heath Slater? To this day, I'm not 100% sold on Heath Slater. There's some times where I'm like, okay, yeah, you're gonna buy a double wide, all right, I get it, and it's entertaining. But never once I was like, oh yeah, that's a leader right there, because I've seen
Never.
shit in Nexus and Core, and I'm like, it ain't nothing. Like he was the weird looking one anyway. He kind of reminded me of the chick from Wendy's and shit. And it's just like, what the fuck? But
Slater was-
don't get me wrong. I respect him for being in WWE. There's a lot of people that haven't made it there. So like, yeah, by all means, you get that props, and you're making a living and doing what you're loving to do and shit like that. Fantastic. But god damn it, I hate your character, man. You may be a great person, but I fucking hate it. But yeah. But back to Jinder. When it came down to him winning the championship, it seemed like all of a sudden, and it was too rushed and too transparent, like, oh, you were just doing this for the Indian market. And the fact that I know that makes it fucking a fail in my eyes. If it was something where, like, I felt that it was organic, where he made a whole big storyline of how you're never going to beat the whole Booker T, Triple H thing from WrestleMania like a decade back. And it was like, oh, people like you don't get to be champion. And he had like a babyface type run to get the championship. But then as soon as he wins it, becomes fucking heel. Great. I would have been like, fine, I'm fucking 100% on Jinder. If they had started this 3 months ago, I would have been behind it. But right now, all of it within a month span, he was losing to people like fucking Enzo Amore and shit. Now suddenly he's fucking champion.
He was getting jobbed out to Rob Gronkowski at Mania to lose to Mojo Rawley at the
Right.
Battle Royal, and now he's all of a sudden the top guy. And what happens to Rawley at that point?
Exactly. He's doing superstars right now and shit. Like even though he's the Andre the Giant Royal Battle Royal winner, even though I don't want to see Mojo Rawley becoming
that
the
price
top.
has never fallen so
Yeah,
far.
I don't want him to become top guy because I never was really a big fan of Mojo Rawley because Mojo Rawley just seems like if I knew him in real life, I'd be annoyed as fuck by him.
His personality doesn't sit like. What is his gimmick?
He's
like,
one of those.
a very hype,
He's
like a hype
he's
man.
like-
Is that all
Right,
he
he's
is?
pretty much a 30-year-old frat brother, where it's just like, dude, take the shot, woo, woo, fucking goes nuts, and fucking, he's the guy that fucking like, you can't take him to like the Christmas party and shit, because he's the one that'll tackle the fucking tree and shit, you never know, dressed as Santa Claus.
Isn't he still trying to be a football player in the WWE? Like instead of wearing the black paint under the eye, he's got like, I don't know, Band-Aids or something. I don't even know what is under his eyes at this point. Like, that character's all over the place. What's his finisher?
No clue.
Like, he goes for like a stinger splash and he hits a forearm instead. I can do that.
Is that his finisher?
Like-
Did you find out in a video game? Because I don't think I've seen him like win a legitimate match.
Oh, I don't have the deal. No, like, but that's what I saw. It made it like he hit this, like, he went for a stinger splash, hit a forearm, and then like that was the big move.
Jeez.
They should just go with that, at least his football tackle or something, where he launches him halfway across the ring with his shoulder.
Right. And then, but to Mojo Rawley's credit, right? People will say back to Roman Reigns, where like, oh, he's the babyface. I'm like, if you want to see who's really a true babyface, which I feel like is the true successor to John Cena, would have to be Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley is one of those people that the kids fucking love. They go bananas. He wears the colorful outfits. He wears those fucking Joey Buttafuoco shorts and shit. For people that don't know Joey Buttafuoco, just Google him. He was big in the 90s. But anyway, so...
The more you mention, like, the Cena and Rawley comparison, now I'm seeing it. Just, like, replace Cena's jorts with a pair of, like, bright... like spandex trunks, and it's the exact carbon copy of him like 20 years ago.
Like him and Gronk are pretty much fucking twins and shit. And Gronk is good with the children too, because he does that Crash Dates thing, I think, on Disney, where they review like sports accidents and like, ew, this is funny, all that stupid shit. But my sister watches it, so that's why I know. But yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But yeah, so Mojo Rawley, my point is, he is like. If they were to push him to the moon, I'd understand why, because kids would love to see Gronk do anything because they love him. The fucking 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, they fucking love Gronk. Yeah, like he's probably the next person that'll like make all those Make-A-Wish visits and stuff like that after Cena retires. So who would fuck knows?
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be the next. What kind of name would you even give? Like a business yes, like kind of like when you get offered something, you just say yes to everything.
Right.
Kind of like what Miz does at the moment, which is another thing.
Yeah.
Like, this may be a controversial thing to say, because I know there's like a lot of marquee people who like the guys who came from the indies and everything. I kind of want to see what they would do with this. I want to see Rawley take the title off of Owens.
Oh God, no! Don't do that.
Honestly, as bad as it sounds, I would give Rawley the obviously it doesn't have to, like, it could be by shenanigans. They could have the whole Patriots team knock down Owens, like,
right.
Because at this point they might as well hire the New England Patriots to be the manager for Mojo Rawley.
Right.
They have it going at this point. They've had Gronk interfere in like what 2 or 3 of his matches already.
2 of them, I think. Yeah.
I could just see it now. Rawley wins the United States Championship, and the Patriots are holding him up with the Super Bowl trophy, and then they turn on him, and then they have I don't know, Tom Brady versus Mojo Rawley in the main event of Mania 35.
Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But if anything, they'll probably hook him up with a jersey that says "hype" in the back of it and shit.
Oh no, we don't need any of that. That's gonna start selling on the WWE shop 30% off by next week.
Oh God, but yeah, but I totally see as Mojo Rawley as like the guy that visits the freaking schools and teaches kids how to read and all that shit. The anti-bully campaigns and doing all those Make-A-Wishes and everything like that.
Be a star.
Yeah, the freaking the new toy coming out, that type of shit. Like, I don't see Roman Reigns doing any of that crap. Like, sure, he'll probably do something where like he'll be reading with his daughter and shit for a fucking commercial, but that like he did that teapot shit. But that's pretty much the end of it. It's like he's pretty much like the next Randy Orton, where Randy Orton. He's on the top of the card, sure, but he's not the one that does all that PSA crap. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, with Reigns though, I don't see him becoming complacent, because something that he's had like a big chip on his shoulder with the whole the Samoan heritage thing being pushed as many times and as high as he has, repeatedly. He's kind of like. He's kind of got this this legacy, I guess, already foundated for him to live up to, and he's already a guy for as young into his career as he is in his WWE career, I should say. He's already one of the biggest draws, whether people like it or not. He's one of the people that people will pay a ticket to see Roman lose.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen, but that only gives more of a reason to boo Roman, and Roman's like he's getting a lot of T-shirt sales and everything else going on all at the same time. He's on top of the world.
When it comes down to Roman Reigns, I feel like you guys, the guys that hate him are doing nothing but helping his career. Because you can say, oh my god, I hate Roman Reigns, and when he comes out, you're booing him, da-da-da. Vince doesn't give a shit if you boo. He gives a shit about the reaction, whether it's cheers or boos. As long as he hears something, when he comes out, he's going to keep pushing him no matter fucking what.
That's when you're doing something right. Like, if you really if you wanted someone to go away and they were really that bad, you'd give them the Eric Rowan treatment. As soon as their music hits, you can hear their music around the arena. Not one person is standing or saying anything. Which is unfortunate because, personally, I see potential in Eric Rowan to do something.
Be different, but go ahead.
Well, to do something. What that something is not tying a balloon around his wrist and wearing a steampunk sheep mask.
Did he have a balloon for real?
What? I heard I was watching What Culture the other day, and they mentioned something about how he was walking around with a balloon and making very disgruntled sounds behind his hands. So
did he see it or some shit? What the fuck is that? That's just weird. But like Eric Rowan, I feel like if he's ever gonna have anything of value in WWE, he would have to team up with Luke Harper again and get the tag titles. Like that would be something. If they're in the tag team division, that's the best thing for both of them right now, because after Eric Rowan, what the fuck is Luke Harper going to do? I don't see anything happening with him. So
Luke Harper should have gotten something with Wyatt before they just threw him over to Raw, because now it seems kind of pointless that Harper's on his own.
Yeah, that Superstar Shakeup seems... the draft was one thing, but the Superstar Shakeup was something where it felt like it was all of a sudden, and it fucked up a lot of storylines. Wyatt's especially, but... yeah, go ahead.
It's unfortunate too, because I'm pretty sure there were plans for Wyatt at SummerSlam to win back the title, and the whole gender thing wouldn't have happened in the first place. And
who knows?
Orton was going to face Rusev and Money in the... Well, as far as speculation and like the Observer newsletter and everything.
If you think about it, though, like it's kind of good that Wyatt went to Raw, because who knows? Maybe he would have kept the belt after WrestleMania and everything like that, and Orton maybe had never gotten it, and he probably would have been the one to drop the belt to Jinder, which would have pissed me off immensely, because
considering how long it even took him to get a win in a feud, God forbid losing the title to when it came down to the whole Jinder winning the belt thing, the only solace I had, the only silver lining in my dark cloud was the fact that Orton's no longer champion, because he was boring as fuck. Like, I don't remember one significant appearance he had since winning the goddamn belt until the point he lost it. And it was like, fuck, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when I heard that Jinder won the title, the first thing I asked was, from who? I completely forgot Orton had the title. I was completely disinterested, like, after their match at Mania, that I had completely blanked on who WWE Champion was. I was more interested of when Brock was going to appear, his 6 or 7 dates through the entire year, and who he was going to fight.
See, the fact that you didn't know who the champion was is the reason why Randy Orton keeps saying his name is Randy Orton. Is for you to understand who the fuck the champion was. But
it's because it must be because I just skip all of his promos when I see him on SmackDown. When I look back on my DVR and I'm like, oh, he's talking.
Yeah, I black out. Yeah, it's weird. The whole thing. Well, he had a little mini feud with AJ Styles, which was fine. I saw that actually live in Madison Square Garden a couple of months ago on the road to WrestleMania.
I was pretty jealous of that. I couldn't go.
Yeah, that was a really good match, and that could be something. But right now, as of this moment, for like the next at least 4 months, I don't see them feuding. So and especially since they're both face now, it's like, I don't know. But yeah.
The WWE can't really handle a face-face dynamic too much.
It's not 1993 anymore, so yeah. But it's one of those things that you can't really help. Right now, the feuds I'm looking for on Raw would be like if hopefully, if Matt Hardy gets broken again. I would love to see him versus Wyatt. I would love to see him versus Dean Ambrose. Lunatic Fringe inside of a fucking Delete match would be fucking bananas.
Man.
Yeah, it would have been cool seeing the Hardys versus New Day, but I guess that's not gonna happen for at least a year. A bunch of stuff like that. That would have been cool. Now, if they do another Superstar Shakeup, another great feud for tag teams would be Sheamus and Cesaro versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. That would be fucking nice. I would love to see that.
That would be a very nice, hard-hitting
very
match.
Violent.
I feel like that would be a blockbuster from start to finish. That would be a program I'd watch.
Yeah, it's little things like that where I love my favorite wrestlers. All my favorite wrestlers have their own routine moves. This is why it bugs me when people bring that up on Roman Reigns. I'm like, look at The Rock, look at Stone Cold, look at Triple H, look at HBK, look at Bret Hart of all fucking people.
People are just nitpicky. They're just trying to find a reason to hate the guy when there's really, like I said, hypocritical of me to say, because I am one of the Roman haters, I guess, on that spectrum. But, like, I can see, because everyone in WWE's got that set of, like, moves. Like, look at Zack Ryder. People thought he was the most underutilized talent ever. He won the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title. Well, he did, like, what? The woo-woo boot. He forearmed people a few times. A middle rope drop kick and a Rough Rider.
Now, when it comes down to Zack Ryder, that was one of those mysteries that I could not get, because he was a person that was over with the fans. He had a great look. He's not a shitty wrestler. He can talk. So I'm like, what was the deal? How come Vince didn't want to push this guy? It's not like he looks like a piece of shit. He looks fucking fantastic. Have you seen his physique? Not fucking. I don't care how it sounds, right? I'm straight. I'm secure with my masculinity, but he looks freaking fantastic. He can do it. He can be a champion. It was one of those biggest. The only thing I say is a gimmick change. Same thing with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler needs to remove that "I'm here to show the world" crap, because that's not him anymore. The whole pink thing, like right now, he's wearing like silver and black all the time. He's not really as colorful as he can be. So that whole Zach Morris thing with the whole pink and baby blues and stuff like that gotta go. It has to go. Do a complete 180 with your character, and I think you'll fucking go far. Hopefully, Money in the Bank right now, I say Dolph Ziggler is probably my favorite when it comes down to it. Are you familiar with the Money in the Bank match that's coming up?
I am, and honestly, my pick is actually going to be an interesting one. I actually see Sami Zayn winning. I don't know why, but like when I look at it on paper, I'm like, okay, so let me look at the feuds. Sami and Corbin are going at it right now. Mm-hmm. Styles and Owens, Nakamura and Ziggler. So this is the first time in a Money in the Bank that I can think of in the longest time that every single person is in some kind of blood feud in the match. There's no seventh man. There's no basically everyone has a place in that match, and everyone's going to be targeting someone.
Which reminds me of another match, but we'll get to this one first, though. Go ahead.
So my theory is that it's either going to be Styles or Shinsuke that's going to start kicking the living crap out of each other. This is towards the end of the match. I'm not going to sit here and start predicting.
Yeah, all the marks are going to be rubbing their nipples to that one. And like, oh my god!
There's going to be flying phenomenal forearms to everybody and Kinshasas, and I'm sure Styles will jump off a ladder and get Kinshasa through a flaming table or something.
Ziggler's going to sell the shit out of some move. Oh my god, I think he's dead.
Ziggler will get end of days through the ring. I'm sure something along the lines will happen. I see Baron Corbin getting up to the top of the ladder, looking at the briefcase, and kind of just looking at the crowd like he's basically done it without doing it, and Sammy's going to just run up there and steal it. Obviously, that's not to his character, but it's kind of in my mind, it's kind of like grabbing the brass ring type of thing, where Sammy's been on this this underdog taking loss after loss, being fed to Corbin, but in recent 2 or 3 weeks he's been on top of Corbin. I just kind of see it playing out in that way, that Corbin's ego is going to get to him, Sammy's going to get up top, and we're going to have somebody who's going to be holding the contract, but he's going to do the same thing that Cena did with the contract. He's going to either find somebody who's a face as champion if Jinder ever loses the title,
right?
To just say, we'll fight next week, I'll cash in then. Or, Kevin Owens will end up winning the WWE Championship in some way, and then he'll cash in on him, kind of like a full circle type thing.
Because he has about a year. Yeah, he would have a year to cash it in, so it doesn't have to be right away. But who knows? Sami Zayn is a good choice. I would say, I don't know about Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn would be one of those people, like Daniel Bryan type of thing, where they're holding him back, where the fans are just gonna rally behind him, and then he'll eventually win it, have his big either SummerSlam or WrestleMania moment,
right?
Or maybe he'll win the Royal Rumble and then move on to WrestleMania. Who the fuck knows? But when it comes down to, if not Ziggler, I would say maybe Baron Corbin, but then again, Jinder might retain, so.
See, that's what I'm also kind of going on, is the Jinder retaining thing, because there's a lot of speculation right now that, and again, it's all speculation, so I take everything with a pinch of salt, but Jinder's going to hold the title till Rumble until Cena wins it back, apparently. I don't think personally anyone wants to see Cena versus Jinder, but that's my thing. I enjoy Cena now.
We're gonna treat you like
I've
you're
been
Muslim now, Jinder. And I'm gonna go after you, and then his salute and all that bullshit. But
Cena's gonna go back to his gimmick where he starts burying all the foreign talent that are becoming champion.
Right.
Same thing with Rusev.
speaking of Rusev, that's another thing. It's probably like a wild guess. I think maybe someone like Zayn or something like that's gonna get fucked up, and they're gonna need somebody to replace. And then here comes Rusev Putria, Rusev Machka, and then he probably win it because he was supposed to get a Money in the Bank pay-per-view title match, and he somehow just fucking Orton's like, nah, I want my rematch in a fucking month, not this week. Some bullshit, but
Yeah, I remember reading about that too, and that's kind of unfortunate that like Rusev was set up for this Money in the Bank contract win, and if it does end up happening that way, then that's probably the odds-on favorite as far as speculation goes. But then it's like we're gonna just with the whole flip-flopping of we're gonna give the title to him. No, we're not. We're gonna give the title to him like minutes before you go out of the curtain, and then it's like, okay, Jinder's winning the belt. Flips everything on its head. Rusev hasn't been on TV in like God knows how many months at this point. Like, are people actually going to be excited to see him back? Or, like, because, well, maybe they will, because they popped for Eric Rowan coming back, so God only knows. But,
yeah, right. Oh god, but I don't know, man. But Rusev, I want Rusev to win. Rusev seems like a person that has eaten a lot of shit when it comes down to storylines because I guess Vince didn't like the fact that he got married. And, well, whatever, nigga. It's not like it's on TV.
He was Russian at one point, even though he's clearly Bulgarian, but now he's Rush-Garian or something like that.
Bulgarish, and I fucking suck. But anyway,
and now his wife is like divorced with him, but married at the same time because they don't exist in each other's worlds anymore. For some
suddenly
reason.
she lost her Russian accent, and now she's a dancer and shit, flash dance. Can you feel it? But
I will say though, WWE creative is whatever drugs they're smoking. I want.
Well, that's just the nature of wrestling, where they just feel like people are gonna forget what happened 2 weeks ago, even though there's a thing called the WWE Network where you can look at shit from the fucking past. Whatever, but it's fucking.
Look at Jinder only winning 89 matches in 6 years and then losing 399, but then becoming world champion
and suddenly developing an accent instead of sounding Canadian when he was in 3MB. But whatever. Like, just fuck. Anyway, so well, I was talking about how where you mentioned that how everybody in the Money in the Bank ladder match has a feud with each other, pretty much 3 feuds in one match. Where on the other hand, that Fatal 5-Way match from Raw and Extreme Rules with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, and Finn Balor, where a lot of them are feuding with each other. Except for maybe Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns seems like the odd man out. And of course, Vince loves putting Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar. That might happen. But my pick, which is a surprise after this whole conversation, I feel that Finn Balor might win it.
Actually, I was going to go with something completely out there because I know, like, again, with more rumors and all the whole nine, with the Mania 34 main event revealed or whatever, I think Bray's going to win. For some reason, it's another gut feeling that's stupid, but it could happen. Like, I said it on Twitter, he's going to pin Seth for whatever God knows reason. I have a feeling, like, it doesn't ever really happen with Lesnar as champion, and I don't particularly see it happen, but something tells me Lesnar's going to be involved in some way either during the match or after the match that's going to prevent, like, somebody from winning that he'll end up having a feud with in the future, or Strowman will get involved and that'll stop Roman because
I'm not finished with you.
I'm not done with you, and then he'll slam him through the barricade or an announce table. Even Roman could take the pin if they go down that route with Strowman coming out and basically annihilating him as he's done for the last few months, and just whoever sneaks in for the pin. I'm not particularly a fan of the Wyatt Lesnar scenario because we've seen it before and we've seen him avoid it before and had Harper take the bait at Roadblock a few years back and the whole nine. But personally, the whole Balor versus Lesnar thing, with Heyman hyping it up so much, I think it's too obvious of a choice. And then with Seth, we've kind of seen it before back when they were doing the triple threat thing when Seth was the wild card with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then Samoa Joe, yeah, I can see it, but Joe's been kind of like, when he came up to the main roster, is like the Destroyer, like Hunter's Enforcer. That's all he's really been.
Now he's Mr.
He is-
50-50 booking.
Yeah, and he has no momentum going into, like, Joe was hyped when he came onto the main roster, and now he's just like, and you're that guy.
But see, now that
That's
there's
in the
another thing
match.
too, because you look at gender and shit. A person had negative 50 momentum, and suddenly became the world heavyweight champion. Who the fuck knows? Fucking look at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, he's Mr. 50-50 booking, but he just might have something where he might win it and then go on to have the fucking Mark's wet dream of Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar, which. The brain in me is like, okay, that would be a cool ass match because Samoa Joe is a bad motherfucker, but like the eyes, like my eyes are just like Brock would fuck him up, man. Like
Well,
Brock,
that's the thing too. Like, if you put Joe and Lesnar in the same ring, you got to think about it from two different perspectives. One, he's Triple H's enforcer. So what happens if Lesnar just basically mutilates one of his guys? What is he like? Is Triple H gonna come out and start another blood feud with Lesnar?
revenge.
Like all the guys in the match, between basically all in the Fatal 5-Way match, I could see having a really good. It's probably gonna be a one-off match with Lesnar, but like with Seth and Lesnar, apparently it's a dream match, and Balor and Lesnar, it's a dream match. I personally don't want to see Balor get killed.
Right.
Because
Yeah, Balor versus
like,
Lesnar. I mean, it's only gonna go one fucking way. I don't see Balor cleanly beating Lesnar. That just can't. Unless they're finally gonna fucking just acknowledge this shit ever fucking happened and have the club come in and help Balor beat Lesnar. That I can buy. That I would buy, sell, and buy again for a higher fucking price.
I completely agree with that. The original Bullet Club coming out, man. Not only would that be nostalgic for people who do follow NJPW and seeing the original Bullet Club come into place and all that, they've been teasing it for God knows how long, like almost 2 years, like ever since Balor really like noticed himself on the NXT roster. They've been talking about this since they Anderson and Gallows debuted. I don't know what they're playing up for that, because it looks like they're trying to do something where like they want to get all four, like including Styles, in on that. But then, like, 3 of them will turn on one of them, whichever one it may be, between Balor and Styles. I don't even know what the plan is for the club anymore. The club's just been dominated. I thought they were going to come in and be the next, like, how Sheamus and Cesaro are currently being booked. Like, these dominant, bad heels. Like, they're out to hurt people. This is what they want to do. Like, Sheamus just kicked Hardy's tooth, like, all the way back to Team Extreme 1999 back in WCW. Like... What's the deal with Gallows and Anderson now? They're kind of just like, you're gonna face Enzo. Oh, my bad, I hit my mic. You're facing Enzo and Cass this week. You're facing Enzo and Cass.
Oh
this week.
god damn, yeah.
This time you're facing Enzo and Cass, and guess what? The result's still the same. You're losing by roll-up.
Oh, you're gonna face Finn Balor because we have no idea that you guys were in Japan together and shit. Even though we kind of acknowledged the fact that they were in Japan with AJ Styles, but not with you, Finn Balor, the person that started the whole Bullet Club thing. Nope. We don't know anything about that.
You don't exist. What's the Bullet Club, anyways? This is the club. You're the Balor Club. Styles has got the Untouchable Club.
What the hell is a bullet?
James
I don't know what a
Ellsworth.
bullet is. When I fire a gun, Balor's come out, so we're gonna call it Balor Club. It's just like fucking what?
What do you mean they're part of your club? They don't wear like nice tight leather jackets and don't have 18 abs.
Exactly. Right? Where's your double-breasted coat and shit? Oh, it's just dumb. But the whole thing is just it's a thing where they're insulting our intelligence. We know for a fact that fucking Balor was in Bullet Club and with Anderson and Gallows and shit like that. You want to acknowledge it with AJ Styles, but you don't want to do it with Balor. It's kind of like a slap in the face. And then you're gonna promote on social media photo shoots with fucking Balor and the club. Like, oh yeah, guess what? They were friends, right? And then and the fucking the 24/7 shit on the network. Sending each other voicemails and shit like that. I'm like, motherfucker, really? Like, come on. You either acknowledge it or you fucking don't. Stop.
No, there's gonna be some kind of stupid major twist. They're gonna have like Bray Wyatt lead the club.
Yeah, right.
He's gonna have Anderson and Gallows. He's gonna give them sheep masks, and he's gonna call like Uh, what the hell does Enzo call them? Galanderson?
I mean, call it Anderson with the fucking like a sheep and shit, like Anderson, Gallows. But
Oh my
God,
They'll have the unicorns on SmackDown and the sheep herd on Raw, and then they'll end up clashing at one point.
right? And who's knows? Yeah, it's just weird that we're talking about this because like by the time this thing uploads, it'll be after the fucking pay-per-view. Like, God damn it. But I'll probably try to see if I can put it in before, so this can all have some type of relevancy. But as a matter of fact, let's get into the freaking fan question segment on this here. We have quite a few now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hopefully you can have you're an open book. You don't have to mind answering a few questions here. If you feel like it's out of if it's a little inappropriate, then feel free to say no. I'm not gonna answer that. Like, hey, what's the size of your dick? That type of bullshit. But no, I'm not asking. I'm not asking that. I'm just trying to think of the most inappropriate question ever. All right, so
yes.
This one is from Norm-6. That's Speed Force Norm. What is your favorite thing to do in your free time besides CAW? So, like, besides playing wrestling video games, what do you like doing in your downtime?
I am a gamer fanatic. I've gotten recently heavily into esports and a lot of MOBAs that are coming out. Tattoos are a big thing I'm a part of. If you guys couldn't tell the transformation from my 2K14, which is my current profile picture on Twitter, to now, how I've went from the baby face with no ink on him to I'm basically covered in ink and I'm probably going to die of ink poisoning if I put another tattoo on.
You have it on your face too, or what?
I don't know. Should I get like Aleister Black like moon under my eye?
Nah, you should get like an ice cream cone because that's the most gangster shit ever.
Oh my God.
Get a nice little 3 scoop, right on your cheek.
Oh my God.
Fucking shit. Waffle cone on that shit. But
Absolutely.
All right, now this one is from this. We got it from Caliber X Storm at WAW_Caliber. Why was I blocked?
That's a solid question. I went through there's just a lot of people that I just block because I just don't like them.
Oh, damn.
And I don't want them showing up on my timeline, which it sounds petty, but I'm a grown man.
Right.
I don't want to have to deal with stupid crap on Twitter. I kind of made a kayfabe Twitter, so I kind of had it coming, but at the same time, I just kind of want to enjoy myself. I could have blocked you for like a number of reasons. You could have edged me the wrong way. You could have I don't know. You could have smelled bad. At this point, I have whenever a promotional thing comes up on my Twitter or someone retweets something that's disturbing to me, I'll just start blocking people. I got 10,000 accounts blocked. I don't know why. I just do.
But yeah, so I kind of feel the same way sometimes when I block people. There's never really a situation where I got so pissed off or I hate a motherfucker I have to block them. There's probably 1 or 2 times where it's just okay, you're not gonna fucking stop bothering me. Let me just fucking block you. But the majority of people I block are sometimes somebody I call a friend, and it's not necessarily I'm mad at them, they did something to piss me off. It's just that it's certain things. You'll post certain shit that I just don't want to fucking see. So I don't want to either follow that or have somebody retweet it and I see it accidentally. You know what I'm saying? Where it's oh hey, I just feel like tweeting out my dick, and then fucking, and then I don't need to see that. Don't need to fucking see that. Or
that's another reason why I block some people. It's just I don't want to see what's on the timeline. Apparently, unfollowing somebody's like an unfriending thing. Like the world's gonna come to an end and everything's gonna come crashing down. It's just Twitter.
Exactly.
It's nothing that important. What's important to even see on my Twitter anyways? I just randomly rant and talk about how my Discord, my Skype doesn't work and how we're here.
Fucking Discord.
So
supposed to be the great successor to fucking Skype, and then it turns out to be fucking shit. But anyway.
That thing has crashed my computer more times than I've ever tried to open.
So now this one's from Aiden Pericolo at the Real Pericolo. Freaking the biggest inspirations in CAW. Yeah.
In CAW. See, that's kind of a tough one because I feel if I answer this question, I'm going to answer the question as best as I can, but as a disclaimer, I kind of hate answering this question only because I feel I inflate egos. which is something I never want to do because, again, this is a
Well,
game at the end of the day, and people really don't need an ego.
You're
about how
just
you hit
you're
X.
just naming people.
So-
You're not saying, oh, go follow this person on Twitter, or everybody fucking give your firstborn child to him or her or whatever the fuck, Like,
I mean, you never know. People are into some weird things. Personally, the guys who have inspired me are the guys who actually got me into it. So, a guy who I personally, like, we don't talk now, we're not really friends anymore, Shannon Silvera. He was a guy who, when I picked up on TXW and got me into KA indirectly.
apparently,
I didn't know
AJ
the
Styles
guy
#1 fan
at
too.
the
Shout
time.
out. No hate, just
Yeah.
pointing out the obvious.
No, that's fine. Like, the guys who were always at the top of FAM, like the guys who you would know, like if you were just a casual fan and you heard FAM and you knew the guys who were on top, like 2TM, Rombuster, BH. When you were in, I was a big fan of yours because you just talk shit on the mic, and that's just
Yeah,
something
man.
I like to do.
A lot of
You
people
got
ask
that
me what's my
going.
gimmick and shit
Pretty
like that. I
funny.
feel like I'm the only disgruntled employee of FAM. Where at this point I kind of shouldn't be because people do love me, but it's just like, especially at the point where I did the whole Nova Nuke, whatever people want to call it, and I did a whole shit against like pretty much everybody in FAM when it came down to like BH, fucking Merc, Eve, whoever. Where I was just like, I was a little pissed off because I'm busting my ass trying to do something where the storylines I want to do or matches I want to do, yada yada yada, and hopefully people will like it. And people were just like, oh, Sean Nova's overrated, Sean Nova's a dick rider, yada yada yada. But then fucking here comes, and I fucking say it in the biggest compliment ever, the fucking male equivalent to Beyonce, fucking BH, right? All he fucking does is walk down the fucking ramp, and everybody's like, oh my god, yes, king, yes! And it's just like, motherfucker, what the fuck? All he did was yawn, and yet everybody's throwing their fucking streamers like it's ROH and shit. And here I am, like, fucking busting my ass, putting niggas through tables, and you're like, oh, he must have sucked Rom's dick to get that match. And like, motherfucker, I posted up an entrance on the fucking fam channel one time, and and I edited the matches my goddamn self, right? Like, because I wanted to have a custom championship entrance instead of just having fucking Chris Jericho championship entrance, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll record multiple ones and fucking blend them in, make sure it all look fucking nice and perfect because it's for me. I put work into it. It's not like I'm fucking having somebody else do it for me. So fucking in the comments, oh, Sean must have fucking rode a hard dick to get that fucking entrance. I'm like, motherfucker, really? And that's why I kind of feel like I'm backing Roman Reigns up because I feel like I've been in that same situation. Right now, it's completely different because a lot of people like me more than they hate me. If they hate me, it's for other reasons besides the fact of what I do on a fucking show. But it's one of those things where it's, come on, man, like, fucking, I hated that shit. That's why every time I feel like, oh, you're false idols, yada yada yada, they don't give a shit about you. Because at the time BH was heel and he would say that he didn't give a fuck. But now things are different. But yeah, so like, the fact that he's one of your inspirations, yeah, he worked hard to get there, so more power to him.
I like with the whole inspiration thing, like even now I'm still finding inspiration because one of the things I always lacked when I had turned heel in KA, I never really had a direction to go. I never really had there like fighting the underdog, just get the living crap kicked out of you until you're ready to like make the comeback. It is an easier thing to do than what I'm in right now because the problem I have at the moment is like I see guys like another inspiration I have right now is Dastardly. I can sing his blessings all day long, and he's a guy who really got himself noticed in recent year. Which, by the way, Darren, if you are listening, I remember New York Minute Tour when you were the opening match and I had to follow and I had the worst match of the night and you can go screw yourself. But besides, it's hard to be the size that my character is. I really did handicap myself, and I never really thought I would have turned heel. But I kind of went with like what the community was into at the point. Like the community was starting to hate me at this point, so I decided to turn my character heel. It would make sense. People don't like me, whatever. But as a very small heel that everyone at this point in the community is like, I stand up to their kneecap. It's kind of hard to like wrestle a match, because if I get the crap kicked out of me, it's like I'm coming back as the underdog, and that's something like a heel character that I'm aiming for shouldn't be doing. But then if I start taking offense, people don't like that because they're the bigger guy. So it's kind of like I've put myself in a hole where it's either I basically bury myself or let someone else bury me. I really can't win either way. Like, a lot of my last few matches, or a lot of my early heel matches, were me like losing because I was like flipping off the crowd, flipping off the commentator, just losing my ring out because I was getting sick and tired of the people in the ring and the arena and the whole nine. But now I'm kind of like in a misdirection of where to go. I don't know if like I'm gonna be turning Blake face soon, and like I don't, because it all depends. I try to go with like the normal flow. I don't want to be like the Roman Reigns scenario. Everyone hates me, but I'm the face. You know, like I kind of want to have the character go by what my alias is with the majority of the community. Like, I have half the community blocked right now, so for all I know, there's like a blood hatred right now on one side, and then there's like the rest of the people who are like, yeah, that's Blake Syrase. He's an okay person. I'd strangle him if I saw him, but he's there.
You got like the Miz type heat where it's just, you fucking, no matter what you do, you kind of hate it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's unfortunate too, because one of the problems also that became a major block for my character and my development in KAW is a lot of my storylines that I've been given have been scrapped either by like the person leaves the league, or the league shuts down and there's no like payoff to it afterwards, or a feud starts and then it's like months before the next part happens, and by that time everyone's forgotten and there's no room to refresh it, because by doing that you have to basically pretend like the second thing you just did didn't happen. So steps 3, 4, and 5 are really steps 1, 2, and 3.
One step forward, two steps back.
I'm like, basically, and it's like I'm probably in the worst 50-50 booking right now, because people don't know whether they want to like have me continue my win streak to get back up to tying my lose streak, or like if I lose, if that just completely derails any momentum, if I have any that I have left. It's just a problem to deal with right now, and it's like I can carry myself both in a heel or face way. I personally think if like a lot of people like running the heel,
right? Because everybody loves
nowadays,
cheering the heel, so yeah, you kind of want to get more cheers than boos.
Right, and then but the problem is, my theory of the whole thing is I kind of hate that, because there are a lot of people who are loved in this community, but they're heel. And I guess, like, obviously you need some heels that are like that, because people are going to just love whoever they want, the new toy of the day or whatever. But, like, someone like me who is genuinely hated to an extent for a lot of the community, if I'm playing a face, it doesn't feel natural to me, and then it doesn't come off right, because then I feel kind of robotic going into it, because it's not like an organic role. But then if I don't play the role, then there's not enough faces, and then it comes into, like, this whole problem. It's like, I go face and I don't feel organic, or I stay heel and I'm just another guy with nothing to do, because they don't know how to book, like, what are you going to do, book an entire group of, like, heels together?
Oh, that could work.
It doesn't
who knows?
work.
But,
well, it could work if, like, there's something on the line, but with a guy who's lost all of his, like, stories, like I mentioned earlier, like, way earlier in the podcast, I drove Jack Starrin's head through, like, an announce table. There's been nothing for months after that. Like, it just happened and it's gone. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, I'm not slacking on the leaders or anything. Like, obviously things had happened and things need to be rewritten and the whole night. I completely get that. It's just, like, it's happened so many times. Like, New Age Horizon, I'm sure you've heard of them. But they had like a Dawn program a few years back that was kind of like the developmental NXT territory, where I was gonna be the top champion, and then one of my old buddies, Brandon Young, ended up spoiling that. I ended up being dropped to the mid-card title, and then I just ended up getting scrapped completely, and then the whole thing got scrapped. So, like, I haven't been more 50-50 booking. I've been like 10-90 booking.
Okay. Well, that kind of sucks. But yeah, so now this is the next question, which is kind of like the first question where it's like, okay, what's your biggest inspirations and shit? It's the same thing from Aiden. And it's like, who's your top 5 favorite in COD, and who's your top 5 least favorite? So, top 5, bottom 5.
Oh man, this is gonna be the ego thing again, and again, before I especially with the downside of it, I don't want anyone to take it into like harsh criticism, like, oh, he's just being a dick or whatever. He doesn't.
If
like
you
my
feel
character
salty
for
about
this
not being in your top 5 or whatever the fuck, listen, do fucking better. All right, now this is not me saying that you suck or anything like that, right? But when I joined fam, of course, everybody was all like, oh yeah, freaking BH, ROM, 2TM, guns, all this other stuff. So what I did was fucking make sure I became better. Whatever I fucking lacked in, I fucking, like if I lacked in promos, I fucking practiced every single promo I fucking could. Said the same promo over and over again until it sounds fucking organic. Shit like that, man. Your attire, whatever you fucking can. Storyline, you think of a good fucking storyline? Fucking do it. If you can do it, do it. Don't fucking be complacent with your shit. Stay hungry. So if you feel bad about not being in the top 5, make sure you, next time he's asked that shit, make sure you're in the top 5.
Just adapt, really. So, as far as my top 5 goes, I don't know if I have a specific order, but hold on, get ready for the comment, with the whole Rombuster, you Dick Road fucking Rombuster to get a spot. You're about to get a fucking Blake race, Dick Road, Sean Nova. Sean Nova.
That's not a deck writing thing, that's a goddamn fucking fact.
It's just like...
But go ahead.
It's just like there's something about the character that like every time it comes out, I know something good's gonna come from it. Whether it be you're gonna sit there and you're gonna shit talk a guy for 5 minutes, it's gonna lead up to some kind of match or some kind of interaction, and then there's gonna be payoff at the end, or you're gonna just go out there and just be Sean Nova, and that's probably the best thing you can do when being organic. Darren Dastardly, he's been a top guy on my list for since he outdid me at New York Minute Tour. He's caught my eye since that day, and I think that's the day that most people started realizing who he was. And he just hasn't put the brakes on. That man has kept going match after match after match, 5-star after 5-star. He's just doing it, and there's no real stopping him. BH has been a guy who's been in my top 5 since I knew who the BH character was, and I still stay true to that because with the whole being betrayed and betrayal thing, I'm interested now to see where the angle goes with the Skilled Foundation and BH. BH's character, like the whole his entrance starts, he throws his hands up and every fucking streamer, this is Ring of Honor all over again. Like, as funny as it is, it's so true, but I can't help but fall into the trance of the character because he does it so well. And seeing him develop from that really heel character now to being thrown into this thing of he's no longer part of Rannick's army, and now all of a sudden he's being betrayed by his own guys who he's been backing for the last few years. It's there's so much there potential wise, and I can't wait to see the payoff because one thing FAM has done personally is I can feel an FAM story play out better than I can in WWE.
Right.
Which is kind of sad for the most part, but as this is coming from a guy also who doesn't know, completely understand storytelling, doesn't completely understand psychology, which is what I'm currently looking into to improve myself. Sean O'Reilly's always been after his match with Dastardly and a few other matches that I've seen here and there, older matches he's been someone who's he kind of is the Cena, the big charismatic face, but you can't help but love the guy. He's done nothing wrong. Whenever he has a big fight feel match, he always puts 100% into it, as well as he puts not only in the ring, he puts so much effort into building the story, getting his how his character will transform throughout the match to try to get the job done. It's just something about what he does in the ring and how he carries himself that really makes the character feel important. Every single match, he's not a filler guy. When O'Reilly's on the card, O'Reilly's on the card for a reason, Uppercuts. he made a No Riley Uppercuts shirt. I really appreciated that. And then Starin, like Starin's he's not to knock the guy. He's never been like the greatest like in-ring guy, not match of the night like every single night type of thing, but the fact that he stayed true to his character for all these years, and he's you kind of see the character from like back when he was Jack Star maturing all the way up and being Jack Star. It's just the transition from all the things coming together and really just forming. There's some things I can't say because of storyline reasons and everything else, but I understand the character from beginning to end currently, and it's great because it's like seeing a young talent growing up and like in the business, and then you become accustomed to them, and I don't know, it's something about Starin's like presence, even if it's not like 5-star quality matches or psychology or the whole night. It's just the character being there, like the events and stuff that he puts in, the effort that he puts forward into the community to like make it better and to give everybody a chance. I don't know. He's just a really good guy. Maybe I'm being biased by putting him in my top 5.
It's deserved. You know, it's all whatever your opinion is. If people don't agree with it, then wait till I ask them. Fuck
it. Don't worry. I see a giant list of people who are going to put me in their bottom 5 because of this, but oh god.
Oh yes.
The fun part. I'm gonna just
list all the people that you block, so you don't have to get all the angry tweets.
I promise you, somebody will screenshot them and send them to me anyways. It happens all the time. I'm not even worried about it at this point. I basically am still looking at their Twitter all the time. This is also going to sound biased because we had a falling out as friends, but I have never been able to stand the guy's character, and that's Brandon Young. The guy changes his character like every 2 weeks. He's got a new theme song every day. His gimmick is like...
Pause on that for a second. The fucking theme, right? This is where... Alright, now, I might fall guilty into it sometimes, too, because, like, when it comes down to my own personal channel, when I have an entrance, it's usually, like, a different theme every now and then. But on shows, I usually stay consistent. Whether it's a variation of a certain theme or not, it's usually the same idea of what theme I have. It's not like, oh, one day I have hardcore gangster rap, and then the next I have country music. It's not going to be that way. Maybe it's a remix of a certain song or whatever. It's still going to have that same familiar feel. So when you hear the theme, you automatically think Sean Nova. Now, some people feel like, okay, I'm going to have this theme for this event, but then the next event I'm going to have a different theme, but then no one's not going to know it's you until they see you. And even then, when you change your look, it's going to be another fucking thing where, because again, when it comes down to Caw, if you don't put in image importer with your face and shit, no one's really going to tell the difference. You put 5 Caws with a similar look on a fucking lineup, you can't really fucking put people together and shit like that. Sure, you could pick out the Sean O'Reillys or the BHs or whatever, because they have a significant, like, unique look. But if you put somebody that you don't, like 5 people that are, like, relatively unknown in the community and say which one is Andrew Johnson and shit, you can't fucking tell.
Yeah, that's the one thing too. That's why I've tried, like, ever since 15 came out and the morphing has been relatively the same. I don't do a face capture for my Caw. I've kind of kept like more of a generic template, and I've kept that look throughout the year. Like, if I were to show you a picture from 15, 16, 17, and for future game onwards, he's gonna look the same all the time. Maybe with like a different like hairstyle, but you can tell just by the face and the fact that I've worn the same attire for the past 3 years now, that it's the character who he is. But just like changing your theme song every week, changing your hairstyle every week, completely changing your moveset, never really keeping up with a gimmick, just becoming a mark of a certain person, then going, I'm going to design my attire that way, I'm going to use that moveset, this, that, and the other thing. Even when I was his friend, I still couldn't understand it, because then he was Jeff Young at one point, and then Jeff Young, the character, died, but then ended up not dying, and became his cousin, and wasn't the same person, and then they hired a stunt double in CC, it wasn't the same guy, but it was, and his whole story is convoluted, and I can't even figure out how to keep up with it.
I'm actually kind of intrigued.
I tried,
now.
I really did, but, like...
I'm gonna see this shit.
I couldn't tell you. Apparently, like, he went from just being Brandon Young or he went from being Jeff Young to Brandon Young to now there's like 30 Youngs running around in like cornfields somewhere, like with 38
Forever
children on the
young.
way or something. Like
Forever young.
stuff like that. Just I can't. I can't grasp it. If I can't like get a hold on what your character is or what you're going for, it's not gonna work well with me. And his matches aren't even that good to really stand on either. So it's like a.
Well, if it's any
It's
consolation,
just me
Brandon,
being
I'm
honest.
intrigued because I want to know what's going on with all the personalities and name changes and everything. It's kind of like the talented Mr. Ripley, very, very secret spy-ish, where you have so many passports of different names and identities. I want to fucking check it out. I'm interested. Link me your shit. So, so we had two out of the 5, right? Is there any more you can think of, or no?
That's
you named
one
two
of the
people, didn't
5. No, that was Brandon Young is Jeff Young is the
Motherfucker,
rest of
holy
the
shit.
Young
Hey, so-
Empire. I don't know.
you? Go ahead.
That's
go
what I'm
ahead.
saying. I'm trying to think, like, Christopher Vaughan, that name just came to my mind. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's like the current, if I remember correctly, BDG Inheritance Champion, or no, the Ascendancy Champion, or something like that. Again, Darren will kill me later when he hears this, so he'll remind me. But it's not so much the character that I hated immediately, but when I had an interaction with the guy, you could tell that he was taking this too seriously. That like he has a legitimate ego for being a champion in a league on a game. Like that's just something I can't. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being petty about it, but it's something about just being egotistical about, oh, this guy is the leader of a league and look at me, I'm in a big league and I got a belt that makes me important. I puts a bad taste in my mouth. And he kind of like, I think he's more egotistical than his character is, and his character, if I know the portrayal correctly, is meant to be a dick. So I don't know.
Okay.
That's just me personally. As far as other, like, this might be cheesy to say, I kind of put myself in my bottom 5 because I really have, like, I've had 3 years to do something and I just haven't. So I kind of fallen flat on that, and I really don't enjoy my own matches a lot of the time. Like, I enjoy recording them, and once they're up and I send them in and everything, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great, whatever. And then when it actually goes live and everyone gives me the, like, basically saying, wow, this guy really is just like an 8-minute filler match, it kind of like, it brings it down a bit, and I'm like, what could I have done better? And all these other things. I'm like probably my
I think that's the
harshest
best way to
critic.
be too, because like, I'm always
As far as-
my worst critic. Also, if there's something that someone has a complaint about me, trust me, I already thought of it. So it's one of those things where I can't really be fully satisfied with myself. So I understand.
I'm gonna kind of use this as like a tag team as a slot. The Skilled Foundation, like not 2TM, but the other two members who I can't
LS
even
and,
figure out the names of.
and,
I've been trying to figure it out
was
for
it
him.
CS? And no, because you know why there's
it
so
slips
many.
my mind.
There's so
never
many
been able to-
S's in Skill Foundation. It was just like, is it X2S? Is it? It's just a bunch of shit. But nothing against them. It's just that's just the way it is.
It's nothing against them either. It's just like when I think of a faction, I like to think that everybody plays an important role to some state. Like kind of like how I hate current day Bullet Club, because there's like a very small handful of them that you're like, these are the top guys, and then it's like, and
Yes.
these guys are just wearing the merchandise and they're just riding the coattail of the club. For me, those two guys, they kind of just feel like take the hits for 2TM,
Take the
win
stunners.
tag matches, and you're kind of just there. Like it's nothing against like the characters personally, because like I like the way they look, I like the way like they have their
I
matches
buy the
and
t-shirt,
the whole
yeah.
nine. It's just yeah, it's like it just fell flat very quickly for me personally. God, there was I had a fifth one on the top of my head, but I can't seem to remember it. Well, that's
You know who
fine,
you are, motherfucker.
But
You know exactly who you are. There's no hiding from here.
oh,
Ah,
James
yeah.
Alexander's the fifth guy. and probably no one remembers who that is, so just a quick little lesson. He's a guy who came from WAW as well.
Wow.
WAW was like a place where all these new guys kind of like just spawned, and it created like the Xbox side of 2K14, and everyone, they kind of just scattered all over the place when WAW ended. And to me, what ended up happening was like there was like a student teacher storyline between East and Angelus, or Artorias. I don't know if he switched his name yet to Artorias, but me and Alexander were like the proteges, and he kind of became the more known protege, was given all the opportunities, and he like his matches are about as lackluster as mine are, to be honest, and he's just like, he's getting praisal for it, and I'm just getting shit for it, so maybe it's just a jealousy thing, but I never found his matches or anything like spectacular. He kind of was just another guy. Again, all my opinion. I know I probably, by the time this thing goes up, I probably have gotten a death threat in my DMs. Please don't death threat my DMs. I get enough of that on a daily basis. How dare you put me in the bottom five?
Now, this is coming from G at Z Monarch G. Why is your account private? Why is your Twitter account private?
Oh, this goes back to the whole blocking thing. Like, instead of just having people like, because people can be very petty. People like to take things, nitpick them, screenshot them, send them to people. Oh, this person's subtweeting you, this person's doing this person's doing that. I don't need the drama. And this way, if somebody tries to follow me, I can verify it's like, okay, they seem like a trustable person and no one that I'm going to have to run into problems with. And if they do, I just block them.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole questions here. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out? Anybody to plug? Shout out? Plug? Shout out? Shout out? Plug?
Honestly, I've said it a few times already. Keep on the lookout for BDG, because BDG is only just beginning to grow, even though it's doing extremely well for itself. Starin's events are still like, they may not be top notch to everybody else, but at least when I sit down and I get the time to watch them, I
check out Dystopia, Dinotopia, all that stuff. Yeah, so
another thing, you and I had an altercation, like not a bad altercation, a few months ago on Twitter with hashtag Syrase versus Nova, and we have still not gotten that damn match booked.
Oh well, look at the time. I think it's the end of our podcast here. No, but yeah, I'm just hella fucking busy, man. You gotta take a number, man. That's it.
No, I completely understand with that. Also, a few people who I've been dying to face, who I've had a recent post on Twitter as well. The Radical, he's like a very underutilized guy who I just think deserves to be booked more and used.
Yeah, me and him
more
have
in
to have
any
a
way,
match
shape,
too,
or
because
form.
we're having a little war and who's the better Power Ranger. I say red, he says green, and it's about to go down. So yes, shout out to him.
Radical wants a death match with me. I just wanted a normal match. I brought up death match and he was all for it, so I guess now I'm locked in a death match feud. My buddy TJ Gleason, who I kind of I had my tryout match with in WAW. It was never a shown match, but he was the guy who really helped me get into WAW. So without him, I wouldn't even be on this podcast right now. I'd just be another fan watching FAM. So with him, I'd love to have a feud with. Stitches and I have had this rivalry planned for 3 goddamn years now to continue, and we still haven't gotten it booked, so somebody goddamn book it. Honestly, like, it might be a dead horse thing at this point, but I'm probably in the back of the line right now for a dastardly match. And, all the dastards. And if any of you top FAM guys want a piece, I want a piece. You probably don't even know who I am, but that's fine.
I want some Reese's Pieces.
Still want a piece. So, and besides that, honestly, the last thing I want to say is that as a guy with a bad reputation, like, I'm not a terrible person. I just want everyone to have fun. I want everyone to be able to bring the community together for something bigger, because we're only in the baby steps of what the community could be. Look at FAM and how it's grown in the last 8 years, and look at the possibility we have as like a bigger subgroup the potential that we have, like Jack Starrin and Joey Turner doing these like mini events, that's only the beginning. We're only scratching the surface
Absolutely.
of what's humanly possible in this group. And if we came together in unity and stopped fighting over Xbox versus PS4 or our peers versus Simmers, if we just came together, worked together, brought all of the skills that everyone has, because there are a lot of talented people between editing and graphics and the whole nine. If we all just came together, we could make this so much bigger, and no one.
If I could change,
benefit
you
everybody.
can change.
It would bring-
Everybody can change. All right. No, but
I
right
have a
on
dream,
that one,
damn
because
it.
I feel like, yeah, the people are just like too involved in petty little squabbles and shit like that. They're like, oh, you don't agree with me, so you can go to fucking hell. And it shouldn't be like that. We're all in the business of fucking entertaining people. Let's all support each other, and we can all fucking thrive from it. Yeah, I agree 100%.
I don't want everyone to get into a blood feud with one another. I'm not saying we all have to sit
I
there
like
and hold
kumbaya,
hands.
but-
I'm just saying, if we brought all of our, we will all now meditate in the circle
have
of
one big
happiness
giant
and peace
orgy.
and
Wait, never
sim,
mind. Fuck.
and we will enjoy it.
But,
I believe if we all came together, or at least, I'm not saying all of us have to, but if the bigger, how do I put this? Like, if the people who have the talents and the ideas, if they came together, because a lot of people hate each other for either ego reasons or for personal reasons or whatever, if we could just take a step back and realize that this is still a game, but there is more potential that we can do with it, this community could do glorious things for each other. Things would get done at a more consistent rate. People wouldn't have to, like me, wouldn't have to feel like they're getting booked once every 2 years. Because let's be honest, I kind of want to have a fucking match. I bought the goddamn game. I'd like to have a match. And really, that's the end of it. Everyone realize it's a game, have fun, come together, and just make something memorable and special out of it.
No, I feel you. So, like, yeah, if anything, just, like, start with the man in the mirror, who? But that's pretty much it. I've been Sean Nova for the 525 Live podcast. This is Blake Syrase, right? Is that how I pronounce it? Alright, cool, yay! Alright, so, yeah, that's it. See you next time, and goodbye, everybody.